You know you're obsessed with making gnomes when you come up with ideas in your sleep. And this April showers gnome came to me, and I thought, I want to make a gnome with galoshes. That would be so cute. How can I do it? So I got myself some putty and some Fixodent and a marker from the Dollar Tree. And I thought, I wonder if I can make galoshes. Now, I'll get to the galoshes in just a minute, but we got to start first with a frame because I want my gnome to be able to stand up on its own. And I have found that if you give it a base, that's the best way to do it. It's just so much easier. I've tried a lot of different things, and this just seems to be the best thing. So I get some popsicle sticks, and I cut them in a line according to how tall my shoes are. This is going to be a smaller gnome, so it's the smaller eggs. I have done the bigger eggs too. And you just want to glue down a good base, and then you can color it with your marker, or you can use different paints they have at the Dollar Tree and cut off the edges so that it's all this, it has even sides, and color it in. Now, I may end up painting it a different color at the end, but it's nice to have a base coat of marker. And I cut off my bunny ears, may use them for something else later. And I just think these little egg bunnies are the perfect thing for creating feet. Now I use my hot glue gun to melt a hole in it. And you want the hole to be as wide as your legs are going to be. Now I'm using the balloon straws that you get from the Dollar Tree, although I will say that I've had a hard time finding them on occasion. So I'm going to show you today another way that you can do it besides just balloon straws using a bamboo stick. But we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, let's get going with this Play-Doh. Now, I knew that I was going to need more than just one of the little pieces of Play-Doh. So I'm actually going to mix 3 colors together so that I'll have plenty of Play-Doh to make my galoshes. And you want to be very generous with your Fixodent. I've used the paste Fixodent that you get from the Dollar Tree, or you can get the powdery kind from Walmart or some other place. But hey, why not just stick with the Dollar Tree Fixodent? So you want to knead that into your Play-Doh. And of course, it just depends on what color you want. And I thought green would be fine. That would be a fine color for galoshes. So you just keep on working it in, and then once you get it all worked in, start molding the clay around the egg. Now, I am no artist, and I am no special type of clay working, I don't know what you call it. But so I'd like to be able to come up with things that you can just use a form and it's a no-fail. So that's why I wanted to use the egg. If I tried to make just some galoshes without having some sort of form underneath, and it was a disaster. So this is a much better option for me and hopefully for you. So I just get that clay all the way around, Play-Doh, whatever you want to call it, putty. And then I worked my way around getting just a long, narrow strip, cut a piece on the top so it had a straight edge on top. Didn't care too much about a straight edge on the bottom because I was going to be pushing it into the shoe part of the galoshes. So I just pushed down the clay until you don't see the seams, and then just kind of dented it a little bit around the top so it looked like galoshes, pair of boots that were kind of, rubbery. Love it. So easy, so fast, so simple. So do the same with the other side. Now, while I was making this, I started thinking, now I kind of wish I would have done these blue rather than green. And I do have a few paints around. And so I'm actually going to paint these rather than keeping them this color. And that's the nice thing about this Play-Doh. You don't have to stick with the color that it is, although they have some fun, bright colors of clay. I just sort of wanted this to be blue. So I'm going to be painting these. Now, it takes a good 12 hours of drying time before they are completely set up. And you do want them to be completely dry before you paint them, because the paint tries to fall off of it. Although I was in a hurry, I went ahead and just painted them and let them both dry together. Now, I went ahead and did a few flowers ahead of time, and I'm going to show you how to do the flowers later in the video. But those flowers that I have, they have had 24 hours to set up and really get hard so that I can glue them onto my gnome. Now, I love using the pinwheels for skirts and different types of things, and so I just decided, hey, I want the pinwheel to match with these galoshes, because maybe I'll use this pinwheel to create an umbrella. Now, in this particular gnome video, I'm actually making it up as I go along. I usually always make a gnome, work out all the kinks, and then I do a video. And this time I decided I'm going to show you my process as I go along. There are a few failures and a few things that work. So I'm going to show you even the things that didn't really work and how I had to adjust and change according to what seemed to work for me. So I'm painting these blue with my Dollar Tree paint because I want it to match the pinwheel that I had. And it really is an easy thing. Like I said, I didn't actually let this clay completely dry. I mean, I didn't let it dry at all. I just went ahead and put paint on it, and it worked out just fine. They set up just fine that way. Now I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. And I started to try to figure out how I could make an umbrella out of a pinwheel. And I thought maybe I could use part of the balloon holder, but this ends up being a disaster. So I'm not showing the whole thing. I'm going to skip over it. And the bottom line is, this was a miss. Didn't work for me. I have thought about it, and I think I could probably redo it, but yeah, it was a miss. Okay, now these bamboo sticks are what I picked up to use for the umbrella stick. And because I wasn't able to get more bamboo straws to make the legs, I'm actually going to use the bamboo sticks for the legs on the gnome as well. Now, let's make the gnome. I used the athletic white socks, men's socks, and an old pillow that I have been able to make, probably about 20 gnomes per pillow. So you just cut off the bottom of this sock and then stuff this sock pretty tightly, and then cut the bamboo in 2 pieces. They are going to be cut down even more, but right now you just want to poke the bamboo down into the sock and then give it a good amount of hot glue. And you want to be really generous with the hot glue because this is going to really secure the gnome. And so right now it's upside down. That's the feet. That's the legs. Not the feet, the legs. And so it's sitting on its head. Now, I love the styrofoam balls for nose, and I get a pair of pantyhose, and I use the same pair of pantyhose. I cut off little pieces of the pantyhose, wrap it with a pipe cleaner, and that's what I'm going to make my nose. Now, I get a glove, and I had a cute little bunny that I'm going to use for the braids. And I'll use the rest of that bunny for different parts of gnomes in the future, so none of it goes to waste. I add a pipe cleaner around the very bottom of the bunny ears so that I can make it look like braids. Now cut the very tips off of the glove, and then really quickly, this is kind of sped up. Now if you need more detail on this, there are other videos, but this is kind of redundant to a lot of the videos that I show, so I'm doing this part pretty fast. And I may also have a video with a link down below of tutorial of how to make your own pom-poms. Highly recommend making your own pom-poms. They're so fast and easy, and now that Dollar Tree has its own yarn, you can make them for a very good price. So take my glove, wrap it up real good, and then glue the top on, and now we have a hat. And save the tips of the fingers because those are going to be the mittens. Now I go back to my gnome body and give it another glob of glue, And then I found these cute Easter baskets that were cloth, and I loved the fabric on them. So I grabbed a few of those, thinking I can use those for who knows what. Today, it's going to be a skirt. So I just cut off pieces, measure it to my gnome, and if this is too fast, you can take the YouTube video and slow it down if you want to watch it at a slower pace. Now, my arms are going to be made out of curlers, and you do need to glue a little piece of fabric on the very ends so that no glue is touching the curlers. And you'll use that fabric that was left over from the sock to glue it to the top of the head of the gnome. The arms look really long right now, but you want them long because they're going to be glued on the top of the head. I added a few of the little fingertips from a previous gnome, and then I realized, my galoshes need another coat of paint. So I wanted them very blue, so I put another coat on and went ahead and painted the base of the feet as well. Now remember, if you want a slower version of how to make these gnomes, check out my link below. I do have quite a few different tutorials, and I do have a slower version, but I just wanted to be able to show you how I made this gnome, and especially the unique parts that are different from other gnomes. Now, back to my cute little Easter basket. I'm actually going to use the handles as belt and for trimming. So I just cut that down and glue it on around the waist for a belt. And now it's starting to come together. Love it. It's getting cute. And then I get my little border stickers, add a belt buckle. Now we're going to glue the nose onto the top of the body and the arms on the top of the head. That's going to all be covered with the hat. And okay, now I'm going to slow the video down because this part is unique to this gnome. I found these cute little jars, and I'm going to make a little milkshake. I'm taking some pink clay and putting it inside the jar so that it looks like a strawberry shake. Now, I didn't put any Fixodent on this because it doesn't really need to be dried out. It can stay moist because it's not going to have any contact with the outside world once I get finished. So I take my little stick and I just smush the pink putty all the way around so that it just clings to the outside edges of the jar. I've been doing a lot of different food items with this clay, and it's so fun. You can make anything from cookies and cakes and pies and flowers and everything you can imagine. With all these fun, bright colors, there's just about anything in the world. Now, all you have to do is mix it up with some Fixodent and start creating. It's just brilliant. Okay, back to my little milkshake. I'm just pushing it all the way around so that it's really stuck. Now, you can paint the insides of the jars, but I found that it needed quite a few coats of paint, and using the putty was just a faster way to make a milkshake. Now, this is the fun part. Get a cake decorating tip, and you can pick these up from the Dollar Tree. I just happened to have some that were from Walmart, and you want the one that has the star tip to it, and we're going to make a fun looking whipped cream for the top of our milkshake. The whipped cream is going to be made using spackling. They do have that at the Dollar Tree. Sometimes it's not in. I had to pick up some from Walmart, which actually is purple, but it dries white. Creating the whipped cream top, you could put it in a bag and do it like a regular cake decorating, but since I'm only doing one little tiny bit, I just decided to just push it in the tip and push it out with my finger to create the whipped cream look on the top. Now, I know my hand's in the way. I'm going to show you it a little bit better in just a minute, but the point is, I just push it out with my finger, create a little whipped cream look, and then just wash your hands. And the spackling does wash off very easily. Next, I glue my braids onto my gnome and get ready to, well, I trimmed down the legs a little bit too. Now, over here you'll see my umbrella that I end up ditching. I don't end up using because I don't like it, so shows you that there's a few fails here and there. Everything doesn't always work out perfectly, but just adjust and adapt as you go along until you see what you like. Now I'm going to put my hat on my gnome. I haven't put any stuffing up there yet, and I probably will. The main thing is to make sure to get the hat over the nose. So I just take a couple of paper towels and stuff them up into the hat. I like paper towels because you can kind of push and mold them to be where you want them to be. A little bit easier than cotton, and they're nice and lightweight. So that's why I like to put them up there. Make sure that you get the hat so that it's just a little bit above halfway over the nose. And then I do recommend, once you have it in place where you like it, glue it down really good, because whenever you're picking up your gnome to move it around, it's just easiest to grab it from the hat. So really gluing that down is definitely worth it, so you're not popping it off. Now I'm going to add some of my flowers that I had previously made and dried, and I just love all the different colors and designs and styles that you can do, and I will do a tutorial on how to make flowers, but I'm going to show you just one real quick easy one. But the best part is one package of clay can make a lot of different flowers and accessories, really, different foods, different types of decorations to go with your gnome. So whatever type of gnome you might be wanting to do, if you're doing a graduation gnome, if you're doing a baby shower gnome, if you're doing a birthday, whatever it may be, you can create attachments and things to go along with it with this clay dough, just using the Fixodent idea. And I think it's one of the best ideas that I came up with in the middle of the night to date. Oh, what if Fixodent was used with clay to create all different types of things? So that's where that came from. Now I'm going to show you how to create a very easy flower. Always you start off with anything with the clay, kneading it to get it soft so that you can work the Fixodent right into the clay. So I'm going to do a pink flower. Really, it is so easy. You can make them look like a daisy, a tulip, a rose, any type of flower. I like to look at a picture of a flower that I'm trying to do, and then I just start pinching and molding and moving around until it starts to look, the petals look like what a flower would look like. So this is going to be just an easy pink daisy. So what I do is just pinch it, roll it, and then bend the edges. Whenever you're creating flowers, you want to keep them in odd numbers, because in nature, flower petals are generally in odd numbers. So I like to do usually five petals. So I just roll them in a circle and bend it over and pinch the end until you have at least 5 petals. And then once you have those 5, you can pinch the very bottom parts together to create your little daisy. And once they are all around, I usually take a pen and smush this inside to make sure that they really are pinched together and they start to form. And you can use different colors of clay for the very center and maybe layer it 2 or 3 times to make it have some different colors. But the other trick is to use your marker. I like to put smiley faces on my flowers, but using a marker is a fantastic way to simplify and create beautiful flowers without having to use more colors of Play-Doh. I don't know why I keep saying Play-Doh. It's like a clay, not actual Play-Doh. It's much finer than Play-Doh. I love how brilliant the colors are for all of these fun flowers. And as I said before, you do need to let those dry overnight before you can use glue on them. But look how cute our little shake is getting. The pink is almost turning white on top with the spackling. When it's completely dry, it'll be pure white. Now it's just a matter of gluing the legs to the galoshes and creating an umbrella that I like, which I switched over to using the same thing that I used for the skirt. The pinwheel umbrella just never did pan out, so I'm just going to make a cute parasol looking umbrella using the Easter basket that I had. The fabric from the basket is so cute that, yeah, why not use it? So I'm just basically trying to create a circular umbrella. And so I'm just using my handy hot glue, and then I'll just fold it over on the sides and then trim it back. Once again, I'm making it up as I go here, so if this doesn't work, I'll just keep on going until I find something else that does work. But I'm confident this time. This one might just work. Until I bring it out and I realize, oh, now it looks like a pointed party hat instead of an umbrella. So I just keep trimming and trying and working it, figuring that worst comes to worst, I can always try again. But I quite like how that looks. So I get my stick out and realize that I don't like the color of the stick, so I want it to blend in. So I'm using the same blue paint that I used on my galoshes to paint the stick. And then I have my border stickers that I'm putting around the hat, and I'll also put it around the umbrella to tie everything together. And I love those little border stickers. You can just put them on anything. And I do, whenever I'm putting them on fabric, I do come back and add just a little bit of hot glue because they tend to pop off a little bit on the top end. So just a little tiny bit. And I keep a popsicle stick to catch any hot glue that I don't want to show. And now I just get my umbrella, glue it to my arm. And here's another thing that happens sometimes. You do not want glue to get on the foam of the arm. And I didn't have a cuff around the bottom right where I was going to glue. So I had to go back and put a little cuff. I used the same handle that I used for the belt to put a cuff around. And then I can have Gnome Flowers without April showers. And here is the final product. I actually ended up loving it. I think that this has turned out just how I wanted. Here's my cute little girl with her galoshes drinking a strawberry milkshake with a cute parasol and flowers in her hat. And I went ahead and glued the pom-pom down so that it tipped over to the side just a little bit so it wouldn't distract from the umbrella. And there you have it. I absolutely love this cute little April shower gnome. I have a few other things in the works. My next gnomes that will be coming soon are, I'm going to have a bumblebee gnome, a ladybug gnome, and I'm even going to do a summer gnome who's in flip-flops with cute painted toenails. I can't wait. Check back often, like and subscribe, and share this out where you can. Thanks again. I'll see you again soon.